Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world.
Big difference.
Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/The Media Connection TV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
Grand Rising, or should we say grand afternoon, or even grand evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Naima Latif, and you are watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Today, we are joining our host from London, England. Zhana joins us live from London to talk about success strategies. And we know that you have some strategies too. Our question today is, what do women want? And this is kicking off Women's History Month. Women have so many things that they would like to express in a culture that has been too often, for too long, patriarchal and not really sensitive to the needs of women. So we'll be back with our host, Zhana, joining us live from London, England, and our guests. And we want you to be here too.
You can call in 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak. And you can join us live on the on-air radio network at 727-731-5192 because we want to talk to you. And we'll be right back with Success Strategies with Zhana in just one moment. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also 3 sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms. And we are so excited to be here with you today. And we're going to bring on our host. But first, let us greet our global family joining us from all around the world. And we want you to be able to greet them too as we speak to all of our family. And we encourage you to share this show with all of those who we know would love to be a part of the solution today as we talk about what do women want. And we know that women want quite a bit, as we have always expressed our desires for people to listen to what we have to say. And we want to welcome our guests who are joining us And we're certainly grateful for all of those who have been a part of this process as we continue to provide solutions for the issues of our day. And we're going to be joined by some wonderful women, and we're going to bring on our host, and we're going to bring on our callers. And again, make sure you are ready to speak as we answer the question, what do women want? And our opening of the show is about to start. So we're giving our computer a chance. But in the meantime, let's welcome our host live from London, and that is Zhana. So, Zhana, we're going to bring you on, and we're going to start this opening in just one moment. And your guest, Dr. Stephanie Myers, has arrived. And we're so grateful that she is here. So, Dr. Stephanie, you can take it away as we're here live with Zhana from London, England. And we certainly will be grateful to our guest for all of her wisdom as we answer that question, what do women want?
Well, Naima, it's a pleasure to be with you. And is Zana on?
Yes.
Okay. Well, great, Zana. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to my show. It's so nice to have you back on the show again.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate and admire the work that you do worldwide.
Yeah, well, that's connection, as they say. See? It's lovely. I was going to talk to you about what she was the organizer of the Million Women's March in 1997. So, have you heard of the Million Women's March?
Naima, I'll need a little help. You telling me what Zana's saying. I'm not getting it clearly.
She said, she's saying, have you heard about the Million Women's March?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. Now, Zhana, you're going to have to speak very loud and also pause because there is a slight time delay. So you're going to have to really raise the volume on your phone and your voice, and then really listen to your guest.
Okay, I'm going to try and raise the volume. Oh, here we go. Okay, the volume is up. I'm wondering, if I did, oh no, I can't do that, can I?
No, and Zhana, I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to play the opening in just a minute. But let me make sure that you first get your guest introduce her, so that for those who did not hear her, they will know her background.
Okay, well, my first guest tonight is Dr. Stephanie Myers, who's one of the founders of Black Women for Positive Change. And Black Women for Positive Change initiated the annual Month of Nonviolence. Every year, they host the Month of Nonviolence, which includes events around nonviolence all across the United States and also here in London. And it's becoming more and more of a global event every year. So Dr. Myers has joined us in the past, so welcome back.
Thank you very much, Zhana. Thank you very much for the welcome. And we appreciate the work that you do in England and around the world to promote this urgent issue of nonviolence.
Yeah, thank you. And nonviolence is so needed in this world, even more than ever, even more than usually at the moment.
Yes, there's violence, what we're seeing around the world in Ukraine and in Palestine and Israel. It's just devastating. And we have to find a way to stop it. It must stop.
It really is devastating. And there's other wars going on that we don't talk about. It looks like you just dropped off. I'm ready for Dr. Stephanie to come back. It looks like she's just dropped off.
I'm right here. I'm right here.
Are you still here? Okay.
Oh, yes, I'm right here.
Number is not showing, but never mind. Yeah, you know, there are other wars going on which we don't even talk about. We don't hear about on the news. Like there's a war in Yemen at the moment.
A war in London?
In Yemen.
Okay, tell us what is going on.
Okay, well, there's a war in Yemen, and you know, I don't hear much about it because it's not on the mainstream news. But I know that people are suffering. There's a crisis going on. It's a violent crisis. Children, I keep seeing things on the TV about children in Yemen. Children are starving, and it's just terrifying what's going on. And then in Ukraine, I'm a lot closer to Ukraine than you are geographically. So it's very nearby, really, and it's very real. And President Zelensky has said that we're already in World War III. We basically just need to wake up and smell World War III because that's where we are.
Oh, that's
so, there's all these human conflicts going on, and I believe that only human beings can solve them.
Yes, well, that's terrible. And there has to be some way to stop all of this. And this is a role that women must play in trying to figure out a way to stop it.
That's right. And here at the Female Solution, we believe that women have the solution because there's imbalance. There's an imbalance of energy. There's too much male energy and not enough female energy. And that's part of the reason why all these conflicts are happening.
Yes, that's exactly right. Well, when we research European history and go back into their past, into Scotland, Ireland, England, there was vicious fighting thousands of years ago. Violence is a part of that culture.
Oh, yes.
And so we have to find out how to re-educate people who are used to violent solutions. They need to be re-educated because there are other ways to live in this world.
Absolutely. Yes, because what happened originally was England invaded Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Right. So if you've seen the movie, that Mel Gibson movie, right. I'll remember the title. I don't remember right now. But, it was about the conflict in Scotland.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one.
Okay, well, there was Mel Gibson did this movie about, 20 years ago or something, about how the English invaded and occupied Scotland. But they did the same thing in Ireland. We did the same thing in Wales. In Wales, they forced people to speak English. And, the film.
Women have the power to transform this world.
Excellent.
I agree. Women have the power to transform the world.
So, Zhana, we're going to take a quick pause here for just a moment for our opening, and then we'll be right back. And we're going to give our other guest an opportunity to sign in, and she may be calling from the phone line, but we'll be right back after this brief message.
I just remembered the name of the film is Braveheart.
Yes. Yes.
Braveheart.
Braveheart. Remember that. Yes. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
Sure.
Blog Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. And we want to talk to you.
And we're back, yes?
And we are back.
Oh, excellent. Okay, Dr. Stephanie, I was asking you what your thoughts were about the Million Women March.
About the Women's March? Well, we think that the Women's March is important, of course, because we think that any time women have a voice is very critical. Our organization believes that it's time for the world to change. And we believe that women of all backgrounds and races, and I love the way Naima had all those different languages, we must change the world for the better. And we can do this. We just have to make up our minds, whether it's marching, running for office, being journalists, whatever strategy we use, we have to somehow change this attitude of violence to an attitude of love and peace. because it's our children who are being killed. It's our men and our spouses that we love, our families, our relatives, and ourselves. So there's no question that it's an urgent situation. When I look at the Palestinian children, I'm just totally upset with how these children are being victimized, and they're innocent. So we must march, we must protest, we must do whatever we can do to change the culture of violence in the world. It's critical.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I completely agree. Did you actually attend the Million Women's March?
No, I was not there. No, I was not there. There are a lot of marches and events in Washington, D.C., where I live, and I must admit I do not go down to the mall for all of them. But I certainly supported what they were doing. I thought that it was very important.
Yeah, very well. You got another chance because there's going to be another one soon. The first one was in Philadelphia, apparently.
Oh, okay, Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Well, marching and demonstrating and showing our voice is really critical. But we also have to do it on many other ways as well, because we have women who have made huge accomplishments who are now under attack, and we have to protect them.
Yeah.
You know, what's going on with Fannie Willis in Atlanta, and Letitia James is getting criticized in New York, and our vice president, Kamala Harris, she gets criticized. And we know that if it was a man in that position, particularly a white male, they wouldn't be getting that criticism.
No, but not in the same kind of way. No, they wouldn't.
No, there are two different standards. And so we have to be aware of that and careful when we're doing things, because when I first came to Washington to be a presidential appointee, someone told me once, don't do anything that you're not prepared to see on the front page of the newspaper.
Right.
And that's really quite a warning that you have to be careful, because your enemies will come after you.
Yeah, and the enemies go after the men as well, but with the women, it's different.
Well, yes, I don't remember seeing too many men. Of course, we've had men who've been put in jail for sexual abuse, and we know that that is wrong, and they deserve to be put in jail. But for someone to have had a romance with someone on the side outside of work, we haven't seen very many men taken to court over an issue like that. But Fannie could be taken to court because she had a romance. That's ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous. But this is the nature of the world that we are living in. And from what I understand, a lot of the reason why Hillary Clinton was not nominated and not elected was because of the fact that she's a woman. Having said that, I also understand that Black women for positive change contacted her and offered to help her in her campaign. And she said, no, I don't need your help. Is that correct?
Well, as an organization, we did not contact her, but yes, some of our individuals definitely did, some of our members. We have members who support various different kinds of candidates. So, but we did hear from some of our members that they had a problem. But yes, she wanted to be president very much, and they just wouldn't let her get on the ticket. So we have to find a way to change the society. We have to realize that the patriarchy has to be re-educated. The patriarchy has to learn that women, we bring so much to the table, but we don't get paid the same salary. We don't get the same promotions. You know, there's been great progress in the past decade, and we have to keep that progress going. And right now you have people telling our children they don't need to go to school. So we're having trouble convincing our granddaughter that she should go to school. Well, this is an opportunity. While people are telling kids don't go, we have to tell our kids go, 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 because they need to be sure that they're qualified and prepared to take on positions.
On that, Dr. Stephanie, because I was homeschooled until I was nearly 6, until I could start first grade. And when I started first grade, they tested all of our reading ability, and I was reading at degree level. And I think a lot more children would probably be making a lot more progress if they were homeschooled.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our grandchildren are all homeschooled, and they love it, and they're so smart. They're really far advanced of the public school kids.
Yeah, so I'm saying that was because of homeschooling.
Yes.
I think it's important that we make the schools accountable to parents and to children. The schools need to be made accountable. And I also think as Black parents, we need to be looking at other alternatives as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially now that we have artificial intelligence and robotics that are taking over so many industries, we need to be sure that our children, whether they're homeschooled or public schooled or college or training, wherever they get it, then we just have to be sure that they get it. Because the world is changing. Technology,
quality education. The best quality education that's going.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. I tell you something, Blog Talk also needs some educating because they're telling me I've only got half an hour left. There's some problem with the clock on Blog Talk because I know that Chicago is 6 hours behind us, but Blog Talk is telling me that Chicago's 7 hours behind us here in London. So we're going to need to address that a little while because I'm almost out of time now. But we've got a little time. I want to see who's on the line because I think my other guest may be on the line. Let me see. All right, I'm just trying to let my other guest in. Hi, who's there? Who's on the line? Hi, this is Zhana. Who's on the line? Maybe this person isn't ready to speak yet. Okay, I'm not forcing anybody to speak, but if you want to say something, just press 1. And just press 1 and you can speak to me, the host. So we're talking today about what do women want, because it's International Women's Month and it's International Women's Week. So I'd like to know, Dr. Stephanie, what are your thoughts about International Women's Month and International Women's Week? What should we be looking for and asking for and expecting?
Well, we should demand to be at the table of diplomacy. We don't have enough women in the international arena of working out solutions and negotiations with these wars. So we have to continue to push for a seat at the table. We also need to push for a control over violent weapons like guns and bombs and other kinds of weapons that are being made available in our communities, and our young people are getting them and shooting each other. So we must have more regulations and more control over dangerous equipment. We must push for safety in the schools. So many of our young people are afraid of going to school. They're afraid of what might happen. We saw what happened in Uvalde in Texas and what happened down in Florida. And we've had these mass shootings. So far this year, there have been over 5,000 people in the United States who have been killed as a result of gun violence. And most of those were suicide.
Terrifying.
Yes, and we've had more than 50 mass shootings.
And yet.
So we have to find a way to get control. And by having women at the table, we understand the anger that men go through. We have to help them overcome the anger and the conflict. And during the Month of Nonviolence, Zhana, you had an excellent discussion with people all over the world about how to control anger. And you're an expert at this. And this is something that has to be in the schools. It needs to be at the workplace.
Yeah.
People don't know what to do when they get angry. They just want to fight. And there are actually some cultures that believe that fighting is the best thing to do. There are cultures that come out of Wales and come out of Scotland where it goes back that fighting is the answer. And in America, We call it our redneck society, our poorer white society. They believe in fighting to get answers. That is not the solution.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So during this International Month of Women's Month, we need to come together and we need to find ways to share the knowledge. We need to find ways to help women who do not have access to wealth and to money to get paid fairly and to be able to support their families.
Right.
And we have to demand an affordable living accommodations. There's so many cities in the world now that are getting so expensive people can't live in them. So we need a place to live with our children and our elders and family members. Mm-hmm. And I really would like to see us demand that we eliminate racism and bigotry. That is something that women, and there are a lot of women who are racist, and they need to get in touch with that. And we need to find ways to show people, because most people, when they trace their DNA, they've got mixed DNA. And they have to accept that and realize that we're all one human being race, and we have to get past all of these differences. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but people are taught to hate. The children have to be taught to hate. They're not born naturally hating other groups.
You're absolutely right. We have a saying that violence and hate begins at the kitchen table. And oftentimes that's right where it starts. Mom and dad teach the kids.
Which is why, even though I agree with you that it needs to be taught in the workplace and it needs to be taught in the schools, I think the starting place has to be the home. The parents need to learn nonviolent skills so they can teach them to the children.
And that's a really tough one, because so many people, they say what goes on in the home stays in the home. And that's why it's so hard to address domestic violence, because people are afraid to say anything. The women who are being attacked and beaten at home, they don't tell their relatives, they don't tell their ministers, they just suffer silently, and the children just watch them. And so how do we get inside the home?
And it's home, because children who witness violence are more likely. Children who witness violence or experience violence in the home are more likely to become involved in violence outside the home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've had young people tell us that their homes are so full of stress that when they get out of the home, they're ready to beat up somebody. Because when they're at home, everybody's fighting and arguing and yelling at each other. And so when they get to school, the first person who says something to them, they're ready to knock them out. So that's crazy.
That's right. That's right. And then this thing about people getting hold of bombs, that is, again, terrifying. Can you say a bit more about that, please?
Say that again, Zhana.
You were just talking about children of bombs or hold of bombs, or people in the community, I think you said. People in the community are getting hold of bombs now?
Well, yes. I mean, they're getting hold of all kinds of explosives. And a lot of it, they're learning how to make over the internet. There are all kinds of dangerous equipment, guns, and other kinds of things that can cause damage. So the internet has to be screened for those kinds of things, because young people should not be able to go on and learn how to make a 3D gun with their computer and then go out and use it. We have to be careful of these things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just terrible. And then these places where the wars are being held are being mined with landmines. So even when the war ends, it doesn't really end. Everyone goes home, but the landmines stay where they've been put.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so somebody's either giving them those landmines or they're learning how to make them. But whatever the answer, it is just the wrong answer. And so if we're going to have women's marches and women's protests, we have to sit down at the kitchen table and start right at home.
I agree completely with that. I completely agree with what you just said. I'm going to bring in the next caller now, and then we're going to have a little break. and Drew Nelson Bay. How are you, Sister Zhana? Hi. Welcome to the show. My claim to fame is that I'm the next mayor of Chicago and I'm the next vice president of the United States. And those claims are not implausible. I have yet to meet with my president, Donald J. Trump, and we're going to get reparations for Asiatic, Indigenous American descendants of chattel slavery and Native genocide. Well, you're saying that Trump. Are you saying that Trump is in favor of reparations? I'm saying I'm in favor of reparations, and I, because of who I am and what I'm promoting, will very likely be chosen by President Donald J. Trump as his leader. Okay. And we'll see on Tuesday, this man with this red fez that looks like a Shriner fez, but it's really with more Science Temple of America, founded by one holy prophet, Noble Kupali, who was born in Chicago a year before Marcus Garvey was born. And they were working together to bring about the process of identifying what we call African American. I prefer to call them Moorish American or Asiatic Indigenous American. That's a more accurate characterization of my race. African American can be deemed my ethnicity, but my race is much closer to Asiatic black man, which is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad called us, so-called American Negroes back in the day. So, I hope all's well with you. And my uncle, David Emmanuel Jack, from the British Empire, GCMG, former Vincentian Governor General, is a very important person in my life. Mother's older brother. And I regard myself, in a real sense, as being British. Mm-hmm. But you live in the state. Yeah, I live in Chicago. And I have neighbors. Mm-hmm. So this is International Women's Month, and it's International Women's Week. So we're asking the question, what do women want? Tell me something. Do you have women role models in your life who've influenced you? My mother, Josephine Elizabeth Jack Nelson, Queen of the World, that is my quintessential maternal influence. Second, that would be Sister Dinah Muhammad, wife of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Well, okay, and how have those ladies influenced you? Actually, you know what? We're going to need to go for a break now, and then we'll come back to this topic. And I've got another caller on the line as well. So we're going to take a little break and then come back. Thank you. Oh, this is not working. Sister Naima, are you there?
Yes, not the audio is really, really rough. It's very hard to understand the audio.
Okay, I apologize for that. I need to have an upgrade in my equipment, and I'm hoping that will happen in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, because it's a shame to miss the question, and to get.
When a group of people are kidnapped from their homes, smuggled away in chains, and held captive in a foreign land where they are tortured, raped, and forced to perform hard labor by the lash of a whip and a constant threat of death. Slavery, the African American psychic trauma. What happened to the doctors, writers, scientists, builders, educators, and spiritual leaders from Africa's golden age? Who did they really capture and sell in slavery? Are all African Americans suffering from psychic trauma because of a conspiracy to hide their true identities? Do you have psychic trauma? Take the test on page 22 of the book. NaimaLatif.com. That's www.NAIMAHLATIF.com. And get your personally autographed copy of the book, Slavery, African American Psychic Trauma. You want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Light transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve a peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
Okay, and we're back. I'm just going to see who the next caller is on the line, and I have not forgotten my previous caller. I'm very interested to hear about your female influences. Hi, who's on the line? Who's joining us?
Andrew Nelson is still here.
Okay, Andrew, can you please just hang on a bit, because I think one of my guests might be on the line. Hello?
I have no idea if you're referring to me. You might want to call the last numbers of the call or
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. 9259. Is that you?
Okay, great. That is me.
Okay, excellent. So,
How are you all today?
who's calling, please?
My name is Sister Empress Chionesu.
Okay, sister. I'm really glad that you've joined us. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
I'm really keen to hear more about the Million Members March. Million Women March. Trying to get my tongue around it. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I'd like to hear a bit more about what Andy was saying.
Okay.
Yes. What Lieutenant Muhammad talks about is the 10th organ, which is the brain. And the hippocampus is a part of the brain that the satanic forces have been trying to make very weak. There's a German doctor by the name of Nels, Nehls, you know his first name is. He was on the Health Range Report yesterday, and he talked extensively about the hippocampus. And also, I am the medical astrologist at the apex of German New Medicine.
Okay, well, this is really interesting to me. Particularly about the brain and how the brain works of interest. But what we're talking about today is what do women want? So what I'm really interested in hearing about is how women have influenced you and how women have inspired you. You mentioned a couple of women. One of them was your mother. The people that you looked up to. How did these women inspire you?
Well, I use my mother, Jack Nelson, as my primary influence in life, just by virtue of the mitochondrial DNA and my mother loved me very much from even before I was born. And the relationship between my mother and my father, Andrew D. Nelson, U.S. Army troubleshooter, that is. My father is a World War I veteran who was a certified public accountant. And it has everything to do with causing me to creatively found the Federated State Bank of North America, which is going to be subsumed into U.S. Federal Reserve System back and forth until we establish the new gold standard. There's U.S. House Resolution 2435 or 118th Congress, the Gold Restoration Act, which must needs be passed and ratified, and to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold and for other purposes. And that is going to be the collateral that's going to securitize digitized dollar gold candy for the financial representations in the form of universal basic income treasury direct accounts. You're saying it's necessary for me to really impact consumers and like implement this in the best way.
Are you saying this will particularly impact women returning to the gold standard?
Yeah.
How do women get involved with this?
It will, for one thing, make all women financially solvent in this country, so they won't have any inclination to involve themselves in prostitution, sex work, as a way of making money, and that would dignify our women, because a lot of our women, I've observed, sort of kind of leaning in that direction if they're not financially solvent, which would preclude their involvement in the aforesaid.
I see. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm now going to welcome my second guest, Sister Chief. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, greetings. Thank you again. I'm kind of a little confused as to what it is we're actually talking about today, because it seems to be a lot of different things. So I think the topic was to focus on what women want, and I'm hoping you're talking about Black women or African women. I really need that clarity at this point, because it'll be difficult for me to really proceed without, really knowing what is our focus here today. I mean, I'm sure it encompasses many things, but are there some primaries?
Okay, so do you think that what Black women want is different from what other women want?
Absolutely.
Okay, say more about that.
Let me first let me thank you, Naima, for inviting me to this session.
I'm very happy to be on this session. Thank you.
I find it so interesting and even in some regards it's fascinating, because when you examine the 100 years, and I mean it's long as that, but we have a lot of information readily available that will clearly give us insight into the past 100 years. And so when you do that type of analysis, what you're going to find is people are saying kind of the same things today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what I find so interesting is I'm not, well, no, that's not, I was going to say I don't understand why, but in some regards I do. One of my roles is to put a glitch in that. Okay. Because it says that a form of insanity is when you keep doing the same thing over and over again and different results.
Exactly, yes.
And so for us to be today in the 21st century to talk about what we need to do, or this is what the problem is, or a lot of other things that I constantly hear. But at the very same time, I
generally do not hear, this is what I think we need to do. This is when I think we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to do it. Okay. So we keep regurgitating the same kind of things without even approaching a solution orientation kind of mode. And right. So it sounds to me like we're going around in circles, basically. Well, that's exactly what's happening. And from my vantage point, Black women today, and by the way, I love my sisters. Okay. All over the world. I've traveled. I'm based here in Philadelphia, but I've traveled abroad often. Well, the point is, I have to be very focused because the various terrains vary in terms of circumstances or applications or whatever. So I'm pretty precise or very specific. So right now I'm going to talk about the women, Black women, and yes, I said the word Black for a very specific reason. The brother was on point when he said, that other people call us what they want to call us. This is why what we're doing with the Million Woman World March, and no, I didn't say million women. Okay. People don't take our history seriously. And so a lot of times we always generate the variation of the name, and yet we have the largest gathering in the world of any women anywhere ever. So we are not only Black/African American history, we are women's history and world history. Right. And so unfortunately, which kind of brings us to the point of some interesting questions. Brother Malcolm said very clearly, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said in 1964, I believe it was, that the most disrespected person or entity on the planet is the Black woman. Mm-hmm. So now, how would Brother Malcolm feel the need to say something like that in public?
Who said that?
We are 60 years later, now seeing right before our eyes not only the obvious sexism, marginalization, exploitation, disregard, and disrespect. We are truly co-signing it. We are encouraging it. And it's not encouraging it. We're certainly not creating mechanism to reduce it. Okay, how are we encouraging it? Okay. We applaud a certain type of imagery. Okay. In such a way that it does not send a message of this is entertainment. This is not necessarily how we think Black women should look or conduct themselves. Right. Black women as a whole, as a collective, do not make it clear that as Black women, as African women, as the mother of civilization, this is really not the representation. This is a part of it, don't get me wrong. And we're not trying to throw shade on folks, but is this the morality or the kinds of things that we really want to perpetuate to a great extent? This becomes a part of our culture and a part of our mainstay, a part of our reality, and then what our young girls aspire to be. So can you give us an example? Cardi B.
Zhana, these are very good points she's making. I appreciate what she's saying.
Okay, Beyonce. Have you heard of Beyonce? Okay, so, again, the mere fact that you are asking me that question, it kind of just raises another question for me. Okay, in terms of, and so I'm going to yield and ask the question, and please, anyone feel free to answer it. We talk, the topic today is somewhat about what Black women want. And I digress. You did ask, is it different from other women? I did yes. And one of the reasons is because the Black woman is the representation of the mother of civilization. Now, that's not theory. That's not philosophy. That's not ideology. That's a proven fact from a biological, archaeological standpoint. Until further notice, the oldest fossil named, etc., is that of a female with a high, and no, I didn't just say melanated, because all peoples have melanin. Right. So I'm saying a high grade or level of melanin, which it can only be given to a specific group of people, which is us. So now, with that said, the question has to be, what are we talking about in that kind of representation? What should that mean from a historical perspective, from an authentic perspective? And so, again, in that context, do Black women, or should Black women, want something different from other women? Absolutely. Because we are the original mother. Right. And that in itself should depend. We should be wanting something different. But, okay, I'm not even going to go that deep. I'm going to just take it to a more simplistic manner.
Zhana, I think I would have a question I'd like to ask her. What should the image be? What should the image be? We know that there are images of Black women out here as, whores and prostitutes. And the guy just said a minute ago, girls making their living from prostitution and all of that. How can we make the image better? How can we demand to have that kind of image that you're referring to? The mother of humanity, a high level, respected, moral image. How do we do this?
So what would we want it to be? I'm sorry, we're going to have to break here for another ad break, but we will come back to this topic because I'm very interested to know what exactly is it that we want in terms of how we represent it. So please stay with us. This is Zhana with Success Strategies, and we're talking about what do women want.
Producer of the Female Solutions Global Radio TV show. We are a part of the online network of Associated Internet Radio hosts, On Air. On Air empowers you with transformative news and interactive radio TV shows. This is such a wonderful time to be alive and to see our human family coming together as one community as a result of that powerful tool, the internet. We can
hear me?
all over the world. There's no need for conflict or misunderstanding. There's no need for violence to solve our differences. We can talk to each other face to face until we reach an agreement. On Air offers a fantastic global guide to communicators from all over the world who are using their internet platform to inspire us to strive to be our best selves in order to become the kind, loving people we were all born to be. Once we do that, we'll see planet Earth transformed into a place of peace. Subscribe to the recommended YouTube channels, Facebook pages, and podcasts created by these Voices of Enlightenment. On Air provides daily news briefs and a weekly magazine to keep you abreast of events and opportunities. On Air news television, radio, and print share information, insight, and interviews with notable personalities. Go to On Air Everywhere for a daily dose of up-to-date news. We're on air everywhere, online all the time. I'm Bianca, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in thankful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm the author. Okay, and we're back. So this is Zhana with Success Strategies, and we're talking about what do women want. So we're talking to my two amazing guests, Dr. Stephanie Myers, who's one of the founders of Black Women for Positive Change, and Sister Empress Chi, who was the organizer of the Million Women's March in 1997. Now, I may have got that wrong. Sister Chi, what are you saying that the march should have been called, or was called? So, are you familiar with what Minister Farrakhan did in 95? The Million Men's March, is that what you're talking about? Well, it was called the Million Man March. Okay. And so our sisters came together in 97 here in Philadelphia, bringing an estimated 2.5 million women and girls of African descent, primarily from the U.S., but we even had a delegation that came in from Germany as well as from Japan. It was never done before nor since. And given the fact that it was done from the grassroots, you see, there was not already a known figurehead, or there was no connection to a religion or a corporation or a political party, none of that. Yeah, so, that's brilliant. I think that's amazing. Oh, what was the purpose of the march? What was the aim? Well, again, we had 10 platform issues, and it covered the gambit, many of the things that we talk about today. Of course, we're talking about education, incarceration, homelessness, violence and abuse. These were platform issues that we produced in order to bring about substantial change, because we thought at that time that our women were really ready to do that. Given the fact that Black women had shown for centuries what we're capable of, what we're committed to, but what we later realized, well, we thought in 97 that, that would be a catalyst and an instrument. I mean, once you see 2 million Black women, surely we thought that would have been a catalyst and a motivation. That was an establishment. Okay. Okay. Excellent. That wasn't happening. Because there are other dynamics that we do not know about. And so going back to what the sister was saying or asking earlier, I have a very quick answer. And it is, know thyself. The question was, to some extent, well, how do we, create a better image, blah, blah, blah. Well, after 100 years, I would dare say, know thyself. Who are you? What does it mean to be a Black woman in the context of being the mother of civilization? What essences are we trying to extract or embrace or further from that premise?
That's good. Yeah.
A whole lot of other.
That's very good. Well, Zhana, please give your guest my contact information so we can promote the Women's March. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to drop off now, but this has been a great conversation. And Black Women for Positive Change would like to support the march and what the goals and objectives are.
If that's true, my sister, and it is, until further notice, if anyone can show me.
I'm not sure if she heard you.
Anyone,
you might have to tell her again.
Of there being an older existence or reference
again. And why is this important? The mere fact that this program and others talk about history. If you do not deal with the fundamentals of history, this is why, particularly in the United States, this is why a lot of our history here was either plagiarized, misrepresented, or whatever, because other people know very clearly. If the entity doesn't know or break their own history, they're going to miss something very essential in anything else that they try to do. This is why if you go to doctors, particularly if you have a serious illness, one of the first things that the doctor wants to know is something about your history.
Sure, absolutely. If we don't know our history, don't know where we've come from, and we won't know where we're going.
So
Yes.
the significance of being the original of anything, anything that the birth, anything that is the original, anything in any field,
Yes.
it will warrant a different application, a different comprehension. This is why the first person who was on the moon, or the first person who did it, or the original, all of that is significant in any real civilized function.
Absolutely. Yeah, these points are really excellent. And Zhana, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I was saying, please let your guests know how to reach us so we can support the march. And I will have to get off, but this is absolutely critical. So thank you for your conversation about image and who we are and the original mother. That's beautiful. So thank you. And thank you, Zhana. And I look forward to talking with you soon, and we'll be a part of the Million Woman March.
Yes. And
Thank
did
you.
were you able to give their information, your contact information for our audience?
Not yet. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, if you put it in the chat, then we can.
In October, in Washington D.C. and in other countries, and we invite all of our women who are interested. They can get more information by emailing us at nationalmwm@aol.com, or they can text us at 267-636-3802. Again, 267-636-3802. They can also WhatsApp us at that number as well.
That's really helpful. That's very helpful. All right, Empress, I can't think of your sister, Empress Chionesu.
But doctor title as well. I have an undergraduate degree, so I tell folks, whichever you prefer, it works with me.
Excellent. Thank you. And Dr. Myers?
Okay.
Myers, have you got, how can we contact you? How can we contact you?
I put it in the chat, but we invite people to contact us at blackwomenforpositivechange.org. This year will be the 13th annual Month of Nonviolence next October, and we would love to have everyone, all organizations, families, faith institutions, talk about violence prevention. We have to learn how to prevent violence. So please go to our website, blackwomenforpositivechange.org. We invite everyone to join if you wish. Oh, I see, I might have misspelled it there. Now that's positive, TIVE, change.org. My apology, doing things kind of fast. And we will we'll talk with you more. But we have to be the change that we want to see. We have to be the change. So absolutely. So thank you, Zhana, and thank you to your guest, Naima. Thank you very much. Great show.
Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes.
Yes, I am. Oh, excellent. Okay. So you're saying, in terms of how we represent ourselves, we need to know ourselves, right?
Well, if you look at ancient texts, things that, and I know that, sometimes people don't want to look at history or whatever, but, we have to have some reference points even.
Yeah.
So many times people make reference to Bible or Quran or other things, so that's history of another time. What I suggest is that, there are writings and other things that also predate that and some of it is included in more contemporary writings. I was in college, I was a religion major, so I had the opportunity to examine a lot of things that deals with theology and things of that nature, but that's a whole other lifetime. The point is, going back to what you were asking, and this is really, really important, and I heard the sister mention earlier about nonviolence. You know, we've studied this for the past 60 years in terms of the U.S. in particular. How did it start? Where did it start? You know, there's a great Black woman whose name is Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Yeah. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was very known for something that she wrote about and lectured about. If you Google her, she was a clinical psychologist and psychiatrist. She taught at Howard University. And forgive my voice, because this week I've been doing a lot of radio programs because it's coming in the Women's History Month. But Dr. Frances Cress Welsing often said, if you do not understand the system of white supremacy, everything else will only confuse you. Okay. So now what does that mean? We keep regurgitating, education or in prison or stop the violence or whatever. But when you begin to research the data, at least in the U.S., you will see patterns. For example, in the past 5 years, we can show you how Chicago, D.C., New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, all of them became the murder capital. And if you really examine how this thing happens, every 2 to 3 years, it fluctuates and goes to another city. Okay. So we don't examine how these things are happening. We know why. But once you get a better idea of some of the how, then you have a better way to examine what to do about it. Right. So, so are you saying that this is to do with white supremacy? Excuse me? Are you saying that this is to do with white supremacy? Absolutely. Right. Okay. For example, how do you think guns are getting into our neighborhood? Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I think it's a very sort of controversial thing to say. I'm really glad you said it because I'm sure there's definitely truth there. And as you've been talking about history from 100 years ago, I've been thinking about certain things. One of them is the march. There was a march for the suffrage movement, and Ida B. Wells came along with her followers, and she was told that she couldn't march at all. And we said, okay, you can send a march, but you have to stay at the back. So in other words, the right to vote has nothing to do with that movement, according to people organizing the women's suffrage movement. I'm thinking about the fact that the reason why we had prohibition in the United States in the first place was because it was believed that it was drinking alcohol that caused men to be violent, caused domestic violence. Now, 120 years later, or something similar, 100 years ago, that we started with the prohibition. Now they're saying, guess what? Alcohol is a big factor in domestic violence. So to me, again, this sounds like going around in circles. What are your thoughts? Well, again, that's why I said we're dealing with a system. And again, back to what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, if you do not understand the system, we keep looking at very minute components and not see the well-orchestrated systemic applications. Okay. And so you study and you look at COINTELPRO, for example. And COINTELPRO was legal. We're talking about the 1920s. It started with the Honorable Marcus Garvey, although it didn't call it COINTELPRO. Right. Edgar Hoover, who was the same entity that headed up the FBI during the early 1900s with the Honorable Marcus Garvey, became the head of the FBI and enforced as a legal tool something called COINTELPRO. the counterintelligence program, which was specifically geared to the destruction of any person, group, organization, or entity that was talking pro-Black. That was the perpetrator. This was legal, so they literally did whatever they could in our communities, including to bring guns and drugs in. So again, we does not study how some of this manifests and how it's been able to continue to manifest. For example, in Philadelphia, in the more urban areas, if you go to any Black community, the stores that are owned in that area are not of people of African descent in these communities. They are of other people. Yeah, and we have the same issue in London. We have the exact same issue in London. So we would have communities. We don't own the businesses. Other people from other communities own the businesses. Exactly. But see, let's take it a step further. How are they owning it? But also, what other activities are going on? Okay. Again, now I can't speak for what's going on in London, but I can definitely tell you what's going on in Philly, New York, Detroit, and other cities. See, we do not think critically, more holistically. When it comes, we just go to, oh yeah, look at what's happening. But don't go further to examine what else is really going on. Gentrification goes into effect. Yeah. High rate of crime, robberies, or other things goes into effect. Drug usage and selling goes into effect. To get these stores in our community maintained, they're maintained there. How can it be? If everything else is depreciating, why is it that the businesses in our communities we are able to continuously flourish? Right. Right. So yeah, that's a very interesting question. That's a very important question. Now, I've got a question to you. I would like to hear your thoughts about this. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this. Malcolm X said when the March on Washington happened 60 years ago, he said 50 years from now, you're still going to be marching. So what are your thoughts about that? Well, I study and do study Brother Malcolm's work. In fact, we are continuing one of his projects because he went to the African Union in 1964 and presented on our behalf of Black folks here in America our plight. He addressed the African Union on the issue of human rights, which is what he was, really getting to. Once he left Islam, he formulated his own organizations, and one of them was clearly to focus on, in fact, he said in several speeches, that we must focus civil rights to human rights. Yes. So that, with Brother Malcolm's assessment of continuing to march, here's what I say to folks. It is not the issue of the marching part. It is the issue of what are you prepared to do from that point. Because I do not tell folks, oh, you shouldn't march. Why? No. I would never say that. I would never say you shouldn't march. I was a college student. How did I learn? How did I get exposed? How did I get experience in many things? Organizing, if I didn't go to some marches. Okay. And so we would deprive the generation a very important interaction. But that things need to be done simultaneously today. So it's bring the women's world march. We also create the universal movement simultaneously that has an action plan for the next 10 years. Okay. So it's not just, oh, you coming to a march. Oh, no. we will introduce on that day our action plan that includes local, national, and international initiatives. For example, a global fight for the cure for sickle cell anemia. Okay. We'll introduce that because a lot of cities, countries, well, particularly in the U.S., talk about breast cancer and, other things, and we should. But from a more international perspective, why would there not be a focus on sickle cell anemia, which primarily affects our people? Right. So this is something we'll be bringing into the forum, into the march, into the arena. The other thing is a national Black Women's History and Legacy Initiative. Right. And an international African Women's Study Program. Okay. See, and here's one other thing. We'll be introducing the Black woman, African woman, that we will be launching the national campaign for there to be a holiday for a Black woman. Okay. We have Thanksgiving, which is a holiday for a Black man. We have Juneteenth, which is a holiday for all Black people. So why would there not now be a holiday for a Black woman? And this should be, it most certainly shall be. We will introduce that as a part of the Million Women March. And because PhD, Martin Luther King's birthday. Yeah, it was a big fight. That was a massive fight. And even when we accept we don't care about any of that. See, this is the difference between when you're locked into the system, then you kind of have to function in that manner. The Million Women March that took place in 1997, we were totally out of the box. They were taught, they had no idea that was going to happen because we didn't do it the way most would do what they've done. We did it totally unorthodox. So you cannot. The opposition is you have to do things differently sometimes if you're expecting a different result. Right. We have never had corporate sponsoring. We have never had government grants. And so we are not obligated nor censored. Right. Therefore, if there's a problem with something, so be it. But because we understand other dynamics and have experienced and demonstrated that reality, again, we're the first to bring 2 million Black women together. And it didn't happen out of osmosis. So we're not afraid or, there you go. We don't care about this. Our people have fought for everything we have in this country and in other countries too. So we have to know what we're up against. But as Frederick Douglass said, and I'm paraphrasing again, nothing concedes to something without a demand. Okay. So if you don't need to put forth the effort to do something you think is going to happen, no. So we're not concerned. And no, the minute you're ready for a fight, it's going to be a fight. Sure, we don't expect that. It's gone away. We're Harriet's daughters, children. This year is the 175th year of Mother Harriet Tubman obtaining her freedom. I'm in Philadelphia. She came to Philadelphia to get her freedom on December 6th, 175 years ago. She walked from the state of Maryland in cold to get to Philadelphia to declare her freedom. And so when I hear people talk about, we Of course. So my point is, after a Harry Tubman or a Sojourner Truth or Ida B. Wells or someone, these are all heroes of mine. They should be heroes of all of us, I think. These are role models for me. We have 25 sisters saints. Okay. We're the first to declare Black women as saints. Okay. Because again, why do we keep doing what everybody else does and what they expect us to do? We're not here for that now. Our ancestors already paid those prices. So we're going to study what they've done. Not to just say, I mean, same thing. See, okay. I'm going to come back to Zhana and ancestors, but I think that's another very important point. I just want to see who's on the line because we've got someone phoning in. Let's see. Who's on the line?
You know,
Answer?
yes.
Okay, you go away and come back. Well, anyway, welcome.
Yes, I did.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
I am now on the third iteration of what I call World Health Digital Passport. You see, what I'm establishing is a parallel economy. And I want the owner of Underground Bookstore here in Chicago to understand that there is a United Nations agency that can be trusted. It's the United Nations Office of International Treasury Control. So the moment he sees a United Nations insignia, as in the World Health Organization insignia, which I use on the first iteration of World Health Digital Passport, and then the second one, I use the United Nations insignia for the UN Office of International Treasury Control. You see, it's not everyone at the United Nations who is the villain. It's important to understand that.
Okay, does that relate to what the women want?
The global debt facility has more gold bullion than any other agency of its kind anywhere in the world. Gold is always money. Recently in Uganda, they discovered reportedly about 12 to 13 trillion dollars worth of refined gold. And all of it should be coined into Aurum United States notes. That should be the currency in Liberia. It can be the currency in Zimbabwe. It can be the currency in Uganda, and the currency throughout the United States to replace U.S. Federal Reserve currency, which has no intrinsic value. It's just paper that's printed, money laundered in Ukraine and so many other places. You see, what we need to do is enjoin President Trump to choose me, Andrew Nelson, as the Vice President Trump. And that way,
I'm going to stop you there. Empress Chi, can you respond to what the brother's saying, please? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't really have many thoughts about any of that. For me, again, if it's not solution oriented, I tend not to put too much time and energy in it. Mm-hmm. What I can say is this: I've been doing work at the United Nations now for approximately 10 years. I've presented there on several occasions, etc. We're actually doing an event this month on March the 19th, because at the United Nations, every year they do something called the CSW. The CSW this year is CSW 68, which stands for the 68th session. The CSW is a representation of what's known as the Commission on the Status of Women. That's where the CSW comes from. And again, there is a UN component within the United Nations. We've been interacting in that for a while to begin to develop how do we need to proceed as African women, because other groups of women are represented adequately, but women of African descent are not. Now, it's not to say that they're not there, but the representation education is it needs to be a different type or additional type. So each year, women come in from all over the world for 2 weeks to be a part of the sessions that's held at the United Nations. Now, on March the 19th, we will be there. We'll be doing a session called African Women in White, Hands Around Across the United Nations and the World for self-determination, justice, equity, and peace. Now, what do we do? You think this is what I was asking you before, and I'm very, very aware of our history. But what I was asking is what Black women want from what other women want. And I do think that we have a lot of things that we share in common. Men do as well. Like, we all want peace, right? We all want peace. We all want prosperity. We all want peace and prosperity for our children. So we agree with that. Let me ask you this question, realistically speaking. How is any of that going to happen for the whole? See, from my perspective, Black women, African women, we are taught to be focused on everybody else. Absolutely. And I'm not saying that we are. We have what I call Black women's, strong Black women syndrome, right? Because you're strong. You're strong. And most of that is about being strong for other people. It's not about being our own needs. So then why would we continue that marriage? Why would we continue that dysfunction and that malady? And again, I'm not saying, this is why when we say the mother of civilization, we're recognizing we're the mother of them all. Okay. However, like any situation, if you do not compartmentalize or if you do not focus on very specific, at some point, you cannot create the holistic effect. And so the people as Black women, as African women, we have helped everybody else. True. Very, very true. And the void and other dysfunctions that is now festering is becoming to the point of just total destruction. Because you cannot take a person, a human being, or whatever you can call it, and at some point just almost totally negate their existence. And that's what has happened socially, politically speaking, when it comes to the Black woman, the African woman. Yeah. So at some point there has to be a declaration. This is a sociological thing we're talking about in this regard. Zhana? Every factor of people, yes, have to begin to find themselves. Zhana, we have to take our last break. And and for those who are on the screen, for those who are on the Facebook and YouTube screen, we're gonna play. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear it. About a minute of the video of the Million Woman March that was held, and people can take a look at it. Of course, if you can join us on Facebook or YouTube, the Female Solution, and look at what a million women looks like, and we'll play that and another couple of commercials, and I'll do that, Zhana, and then we'll come back and hear more from Empress Chi. So we'll be right back, and hoping you can see the Million Women March is extending, and you can see from its origin all the way down the street, women as far as your eye can see, and women walking. And of course, this minute and a half video from Associated Press, I guess it was a bit of rain there, but this didn't stop the women. Mm-hmm.
And what you see, of course, are women packed in.
Wow.
Can you hear Viola Davis?
And the reason why
And that was from the Million Woman March, Viola Davis. Very powerful speech. And we wanted to share that with you as we run a few more commercials before we come back. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325 or 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you. We'll be right back. So
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
and I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to How do you teach your children about sex?
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black Moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms.
Okay, we back?
Yes, doesn't look like the sound is going to come up. So we are back, and you're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And this is Success Strategies with Zhana. And our guest today is Empress Chi, who is the founder of the Million Women's March, coming up again in October. Go right ahead.
And that was a very, very powerful clip. Just the visual of seeing what 2 million women look like. That was just very, very powerful. Thank you for that, Naima.
Yes, indeed. Yes, and thanks to our guests for organizing such an effort.
Yeah, so I've got another question for you, Sister Chi, which is that, see, my work is about working from within, because inside of us, right, we have all the potential we need to achieve what we want. And I mean, when you say, okay, how do we get from here to there? That would be my solution. To look within. And there's various strategies that I've written about in my book, Success Strategies for Black People, which is for all Black people, men as well as women. But my focus is probably more about the women, because it's usually the women who go for things to do with personal development. What are your thoughts about working from within?
Well, this is why I said earlier, my sister, and thank you, Sister Naima. I couldn't, I'm on the phone line, so I couldn't see the clips. I did hear it. For clarity, again, it's the Million Woman March, and you pointed out something as to why I have to keep emphasizing that, and it is because, number one, I think the second clip you may have played with Viola Davis, I think that may have come from the Women's March.
Mm-hmm.
Now, note, see, this is why it's important that we keep our history in its proper place and perspective. Because after 97, other group of women then, wanted to do some other things, and they chose different things. They wanted to join the Million Woman March, but unfortunately, the Million Woman March is exclusively for women and girls of African descent. And that doesn't mean we don't have allies, right? But as actual members. So other groups of women decided that they wanted to do something similar, and it's fine. But then in 2018, I think it was, when they were dealing with the Donald Trump situation, someone decided to come up with the Million Women with an N and S March. And the way they did that was really an attempt to misrepresent and to make it appear as if there was either a connection or that it was coming from us. It was not at all.
Oh dear.
Okay. So because we trademarked, we shut it down. So that's why you ended up with the Women's March. Okay. You see, for point of clarity. Now, that's why I say if we keep, saying what other people say and not take the time to put our own history in its place rightfully, then other people will seize the time and do whatever they want to do with it, which is what always happens. Now, lastly, and then I'm going to go to your question, we had Malcolm X's daughters at the Million Woman March. Jada Pinkett Smith, which I think was the clip that I heard earlier.
Yeah.
Jada Pinkett Smith was there. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congressman John Conyers, Dick Gregory,
the actor Blair Underwood, the singer-performer Faith Evans, who had just lost her husband, Biggie Smalls. We had the president of the National Council of Negro Women, which is the oldest group organization of Black women in the U.S. that was started, here in the U.S. We had Dr. I forget her name right now, but she spoke. I mean, so my point is we went from A to Z to make sure we're inclusive on every level, politically, economic, arts and culture, Between each speaker, there was a prayer. So we had at least 15 different houses or spaces to show the inclusion, you see. So I just want to give that little background history. And probably the clip that you saw was early in the morning.
Yes, yes.
So we started at 6 o'clock a.m. and folks were coming in. So you can imagine what happened by 12 o'clock noon and then later in the day. And one final thing, the press they didn't want to believe it, they didn't want to report it, none of that. So they put it in papers and estimated 500,000. Okay. The University of Pennsylvania did what's known as an aerial diagnostical study. And based on that, the University of Pennsylvania issued to us the estimate 2.5 million.
2.5.
Based on the mathematics of their capability to diagnose the area, etc.
But you see, they always do that. The press will always do that, and the police will always do that. They always underreport how many people were actually there.
But that's why we were smart enough to get something a little more advanced. Because we know how the enemy operates, you see. So now going back to the sister's question, the thing about within, this is why I started out by saying knowing thyself. Because if you don't know thyself, then people will continue to actually represent and do the things that has been instilled in us, the indoctrination, etc. We just perpetuate that. So you can't just say, well, do stuff from within, because at some point we all believe in Santa Claus. Or the Easter Bunny.
No, when I say go within, I'm talking about going to our essence, going to our inner strength and our inner wisdom, because our inner wisdom is connected to higher wisdom. So when we actually connect with our inner wisdom, well, like, for example, I'm trained in the healing process, which is called SRT, Spiritual Response Therapy. Now, you were just saying about addressing sickle cell. Now, that's one of the things that is probably possible. In fact, it's probably highly probable that we can address with SRT. With SRT, we used to do things like removing Alzheimer's and dementia. But Alzheimer's and dementia are a curse, which are affecting humans more and more. Also dealing with cancer. Thousands of people have been healed of cancer. But what I believe is very much that we don't heal people. People heal themselves. We can help support and facilitate that process, but people heal themselves. This is what I'm talking about when I say go within. I mean, we're all different. We all have different motivations. We all have different experiences from our past. We can come together. We can learn from each other. But the fact is that every human being is different. But we all have inner wisdom. And that inner wisdom is connected to a higher wisdom. And we use that. It's amazing. We can do amazing things. We can do amazing things. You see, people are always going on about Black power, but we don't use the power that we have.
Maybe we don't know what that is. So
that's right. That's what my book said, isn't it? So we just start to learn from that.
Here's the difference, my sister. When I said something, I did it. You were able to see it manifest. So it's one thing to say something. It's another thing to take that and transform it into reality. So again, we can talk about what we think something is. And oftentimes people do. And we have different ideas and opinions about that. But the bottom line is going to be the bottom line at some point. And again, this is one of the reasons why I think we keep going through this rat wheel that we're on. Because we're not clearly identifying various things to the degree of reality. We're not speaking truth to power because a lot of it is too ambiguous. Therefore, what one might think is this or the other, in other words, when I say, what are we talking about when we say the essence of a Black woman? Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. I have a question, Empress, because you have the event coming up, and we have a.
Can I just say before you ask the question, Diana, I think Brother Andrew was coming with a comment as well. But carry on with your question.
Okay, so we have this event coming up and another opportunity to mobilize. What will be different this time in terms of how we take advantage of millions of women who are gathered in one space and have a similar experience of being not respected for their skills, their intelligence, their capabilities, and wanting to create a better society. So we've got all the brilliant minds. We've got the people who have energy. We've got people who are doing various programs and are successful at what they're doing. We have those all the way from the ones that are living in levels of despair. But all of these women are putting their energy together. What will be different in this mobilization that will result in a change in our reality once we leave that mass meeting?
Okay. Well, that's an excellent question. I thank you for it. And I'll put it in a simplistic answer first, and then I'll go more in depth in this. 2 decades of research, study, commitment, and unapologetic activities in not only Philadelphia, but in cities throughout the U.S. and in certain countries. What that means is we've come to the point now where we're ready to activate what we've learned from that experience. Because in 97, I thought that when our women saw what the possibilities were, that they would come and bring their skills and talent, suggestions, proposals, collaborations. You have it. Because the door was open. It was right there. Not just then, but several years after that. We were readily available. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And not because, we weren't there, but because I assumed that people would see this and just, for example, when I saw the Million Man March, I called Chicago after the Million Man March because my sons went to the Million Man March. Mm-hmm. I called the Nation of Islam in Chicago because I wanted to know about the million. I just assumed about the Million Woman March.
There's going to be a Million Woman March.
Well, when I called, they were like, what are you talking about? Right? My point is, when I see something that has a certain level and capability, then I have enough intelligence to try to figure out or try to connect to it or something. So you know, it's just, I'm just going to jump to that people with your experience this all the time. Right? Yeah, these people feel potential, and we assume that everybody else is the same reason, but that's not actually the case. No, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying out of 1 million people, surely, see, again, we have to be honest about some things. And I'm not suggesting that we all see or think the same. I'm not suggesting that. But over the years, you have seen for yourself how people have responded to the murder of this entity or that entity, and you've seen how the effects that happen all over the country and how that merged into other things. My point is, I study social dynamics. And I'm saying because I feel realistic. No, I'm not an emotionalist person. I deal with statistics and I deal with the application of probability and things of that nature. So what I'm referring to is some other dynamics here, right? So what I'm saying is, and then to go back to the question that you had, we've learned a lot in these past 2 decades, and as such have created elements, unit components from investment to, for example, we're creating our own curriculum. I don't know if you heard this earlier, but we are bringing our own curriculums together for the education of our children. Mm-hmm. Because fundamentally, what we know is a people who will not even educate their own children, particularly, we're sending our children to a system 5 days a week, generally 5 to 7 hours a day. But then we expect the behavior to be a certain type. But again, if you go to any urban city, the children tend to act the same way.
Right. And why do you think that's in Africa, certainly, and in India as well, that a lot of times girls don't even get a chance to be educated. Girls don't even get a chance to get to school. You know, they're pulled out of school at the age of about 13 to be married. So, not getting that benefit. And when a girl is educated, the whole community benefits from that girl's education. Like we've done studies in India that show this. That so parents allow a girl to be educated, the whole community benefits.
So here's what I say about all of that, because we keep hearing these statistics over and over and over. And I always ask, folks, what's your plan? Because if you're talking about a situation, then simultaneously, it should also be, what are we talking about doing as addressing it? So to go back to what the other sister asked, that's where we're at with this. We have taken the time to research, evaluate, coordinate, document information to begin to at least come up with something that we think can begin to address some of this. So for example, what you just mentioned, we have 2 components that is a part of the Women's Red March. One of them is the United Nations of African Women. What does that do? Oh, absolutely. Because most don't even know that 10 years ago, it ended in 2020. So the African Union declared the Decade for African Women in 2010. It ended in 2020. So if you want to see actual data and information about various things relevant to women and girls, they took 10 years. And this is just one group. So when you begin to evaluate all of these things that people have been talking about for 50 years, because if you go back to 2021, when there was a women's conference in China, 2001. So you're talking about, we keep going over things, but yet when we start looking at what are we talking about in terms of what are we going to do? So we created the African Women's United Nations. With that, the Commission on the Status of African Women. This way, by each country, we're able to examine the things that we keep talking about, but bring together a think tank, a task force that is literally designed to come up with the possibility, the strategic modes of operations. So that's what the Million Woman World March brings to the table. Because in the assembly, there's a summit. It's a global summit.
Well, that will be a difference.
Yes, practical strategies, practical solutions. Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. So I would say, how do people, before we go, how do people contact you if they want to mobilize and get prepared to participate? And we can put that contact information on the screen so that people will be able to follow up and actually get ready for the march in October.
Absolutely. They can again reach us via email at national, spelled out, that's NATIONALMWM at AOL.com, and also Empress Chi, and that's EMPRESSCHI, and then it's 7777, 4 sevens, at gmail.com. We also can be text, regular text, or WhatsApp at 267-636-3802. Again, 267-636-3802. 90 seconds.
Okay, well, we have,
We're almost out of time.
oh dear.
I just want to ask Brother Andrew, did you want to say a word? I'm sorry, I'm to say something.
I'm very happy about what Empress Chi has done with this Million Woman March. I commend you for that. And my entire life, when I was a teenager, Andrew Young, then United Nations ambassador, was my hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's co-founder of Greenwood Bank in Atlanta. And I'm a partner with that, just relates to universal basic income credit and direct accounts backed by gold.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. The least of the church debate, full of ideas and information with us in terms of what do we really want and what we good to the contribution.
And again, can you give us that website again? National MWM. Can you give us that? Can you give that contact information again?
Listen to our radio shows or our book, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. In China, Taipei, India, Zhana, Japan, Mexico, Korea, Tanzania, Germany, UK, Poland, Jung, France, Merci, Latvia, Italy, Latvia, Egypt, Cuba, Ghana, Madagascar, Syria, Turkey, Africa, Myanmar, Kenya, Israel, Poland, Shukriya, Tashakor, Saudi Arabia, Shukran, Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. May peace be upon you and the mercy of God and